Hello, welcome to session 8 of PHS 308, which is basically a recap of all the topics that we have treated so far. And so we began with the nature and rationale for public policy, where we define what we mean by the concept public policy, and then we looked at the different types of public policy there are within the policy literature. And then we also examined some of the characteristics of public policy. And then we also looked at the approaches to policy study. In other words, we examined the different theories that seek to explain how public policies are made. And so, for example, we looked at the elite theory, we looked at the group theory, we looked at Easton's political systems model, we looked at incrementalism, for example. And then we also moved on to look at institutions and public policy making. Basically, we made the point that public policies are institutions in themselves. They are rules that tend to dictate and determine the way individuals and groups within society behave. And then we also looked at state and non-state actors in policy making. We explained state actors as the kind of actors that derive their powers directly from the state. In other words, they are constitutionally mandated to engage in public policy making. Non-state actors, on the other hand, do not have a direct constitutional mandate to engage in public policy making. However, they do so on the basis of their interest in how the governance process works. Non-state actors do so because the issues that are within the policy making domain tend to affect them, and so they are naturally interested. And then we looked at policy making in democratic context. We explained the different approaches to defining democracy. We looked at the constitutional approach, we looked at the substantive approach, we looked at the process-oriented approach, for example. And then we focused on the presidential and the parliamentary types of democracies, and we zoned into the Ghanaian hybrid system, looking at the way state actors and non-state actors, as well as international actors, all come together to influence public policy. And then we just looked at agenda setting as a concept, where we explained that agenda setting basically means how issues move from a private domain into a public domain, or how issues attract the attention of government in order to be solved. We looked at some of the theories of agenda setting, we looked at the objective approach, we looked at the subjective approach, and then also the multivariable approach. Now, students are expected to heed instructions from the School of Continuing and Distance Education to prepare for the interim assessment for this course. And as I mentioned to you earlier, the interim assessment will carry 30% of your grade that you will earn for yourself at the end of the semester. And so the important things to pay attention to include, but not limited to, the time of the interim assessment, the date that it will be taken, as well as the venue. And then also, students are to endeavor to read all required text in preparation for the IA. It is not enough to just watch the session video. It is not enough to just focus on the slides that have been given to you. It is very, very important that you pay attention to your reading materials and make sure that you read them and you carefully reflect on them, so that you'll be able to get adequate understanding of the issues discussed to enable you obtain a decent grade in the IA and in the end of semester exam. So with these instructions, we come to the end of session 8. Please prepare as we move on to session 9.